Hi everyone. The lesson I'm going to read for you today and look at today is one of the most important lessons in our Course in Miracles. And there's a reason for it because it happens three times, right? It's the three times that lesson comes back. And the lesson is I am as God created me. And I love the first line because it explains to you why this lesson is so important. It says, this single thought held firmly in the mind would save the world. And of course you, right? The salvation of the world and your salvation are the same thing. So this thought, right, held firmly in mind, being aware of it, right, will save the world, will save you. It has no choice, right? And it says here, from time to time, we will repeat it as you reach another stage in learning, right? It says, these words are sacred, for they are the words God gave in answer to the world you made, right? You made a world uh, within the idea of separation, um, where you could hide from God, right? Where you could, um, where wouldn't find you. God gave His answer, right? You are as I created you, right? That's the answer, right? It says here, by them it disappears, and all things seen within its misty clouds and vaporous illusions vanish, as these words are spoken, for they come from God. That's it. That was God's answer, right? God's word to your idea of separation. You are as I created you, right? I am as God created me. Amazing lesson. And you go like, well, of course. But it's not of course, because as a human being, you constantly deny that you are as God created you. You constantly affirm your own self-concept of yourself, right? That's not the same thing. Those are each other's opposite, right? I love it. Here is the word, by which the Son became his Father's happiness, his love, and his completion. Here, creation is proclaimed and honored as it is. There is no dream these words will not dispel, no thought of sin and no illusion which the dream contains that will not fade away before they might. They are the trumpet of awakening that sounds around the world. What an amazing idea, right? Because at this point in time, in space time, on Earth, there is a widespread awakening going on. This year in particular is a very, very interesting year, right? Where the frequency of Earth will be raised. And it's being raised because you're ready to awaken, right? And um, that call of awakening that he's talking about is indeed going on all across the world, right? Many of us at this moment in time, for instance, are teaching A Course in Miracles or any other, right, idea of awakening online or in person. But that wasn't true a moment ago, wasn't it? There's many of us around that currently are teaching it, which is beautiful, right? Amazing. It says, how holy is he who makes these words his own, arising with them in his mind, recalling them throughout the day, at night bringing them with him as he goes to sleep. His dreams are happy, his rest is secure, his safety certain, and his body healed, because he sleeps and wakens with the truth before him always. This is true, right? When you awaken, you keep that truth within your mind at all times. You wake up with it, you keep it in your awareness throughout the day, and you go to bed with it. And because of that, nothing bad can happen to you in the sense of sickness is impossible, right? Happiness will be part of your daily being, right? Because you've chosen to affirm that you are as God created you. And it truly, truly is that simple. You go like, well, those are just words. Those are not just words. Those are ideas with an unlimited power, right? The acceptance of that single idea has in it all power in the universe because it's a true idea. Love it. For the words we use are mighty, and we need no thoughts beyond themselves to change the mind of him who uses them. So holy is it changed that it is now the treasury in which God places all his gifts and all his love to be distributed to all the world. Increased in giving, kept complete because its sharing is unlimited. Love it. And thus you learn to think with God. You learn to think with God, right? You learn to think with the universe. As a human being, up to this point, you just had your separate thoughts, your private thoughts. But as we have learned, there's no such thing as a private thought. So you learn to think with God. You learn to broaden your awareness to include everything. Huh? Amazing idea. We honor you today. Yours is the right to perfect holiness you now accept. With this acceptance is salvation brought to everyone. For who could cherish sin when holiness like this has blessed the world? Who could despair when perfect joy is yours, right? So that's just that lesson from I am as God created me, right? It's a thought, an idea that is wholly true, that will solve every problem you apparently seem to have. And I say seem to have because none of your problems are real. Huh? You have one single problem, which is the idea of separation, and that's the answer to that. All other problems are just different forms of the single problem, right? But the answer is already given. What God gave answer to is solved, right? And He gave the answer the moment that the mind thought of war. Right? It's that simple. Um, just looking ahead at the next lesson, which also is a lovely lesson, which is called "There is no death, the Son of God is free," which is an amazing lesson. And what I like about that is that first paragraph in which he explains to you what death is. He says, death is a thought that takes on many forms, often unrecognized. And you'll see that it is often unrecognized because it is not, and really death has nothing to do with the body. Here it goes. He says, it may appear as what? Sadness. Have you ever thought of sadness as death? But that's what it is, right? Death is the opposite of life, the opposite of perfect happiness, right? Any thought that's not perfectly happy is death. It may appear sadness, fear, anxiety, or doubt, as anger, faithlessness, lack of trust, concern for bodies. You're concerned about your body, that's a thought of death, right? Envy, and all forms, here it is, in which the wish to be as you are not may come to tempt you. I love that. What did we just read? You are as God created you. If you have a thought of anxiety, of fear, of doubt, of concern for body, of envy, and whatever else was in that list, that's the denial of the idea that you are as God created you, right? He calls it all forms in which the wish to be as you are not, because it is a wish. You go like, well, I'm not wishing it. Yeah, you are, otherwise you wouldn't be having the thoughts. Huh? I love the uncompromisedness of this teaching, right? The thoughts that you're having are the thoughts you want to have, right? Thoughts do not come to you beyond your own will. It seems to be that way, right? You suddenly get fearful of something and go like, well, that's just happening to me. I didn't want to be that. No, they're not someone else's thoughts. They're your thoughts. You're having them, right? You want to have them. Otherwise, you wouldn't be having them. The simplicity of A Course in Miracles, the uncompromising nature of the teaching, is what makes the Course easy. You're not supposed to figure out which are thoughts of death and which aren't, right? If you're not wholly joyous, if you're having thoughts that are not wholly joyous, that's a thought of death. It's that simple. And they're not coming to you against your will. They are the thoughts that you're having because you wish to have them, right? But that's where the mind training comes in, correct? That's where you go like, no, wait, I'm having a thought of, let's take envy, right? I'm having a thought of envy, or I'm having a thought of jealousy or fear, right? I've chosen wrongly, because it is a choice, right? Every thought you're having is a choice. It doesn't appear to be, but in your awakening, you become more and more aware of it. You become aware that they're a choice, right? So these are the lesson that I wanted to look at today. I am as God created me, and there is no death. The Son of God is free. And I love, they're kind of connected because any thought of death is the denial of I am as God created me. So read these lessons if you have a moment today. They're absolutely spectacular. I love you. Have a great, great day wherever and whenever you are. And I'll see you out there.